There are moments in life when a message does not merely appear before you. It arrives with a weight, a hum, a subtle tremor in the air that seems to echo from somewhere beyond your ordinary perception. It doesn't feel like information. It feels like recognition. Something inside you pauses, not out of confusion, but out of remembrance, as if a long dormant thread within the fabric of your being suddenly tightens, pulling you back into alignment with a truth you once knew but somehow drifted away from. This is a sensation people describe when they encounter a phrase. If you're seeing this, your soul contract is activating right now. The sentence itself may appear simple, almost casual at first glance, yet something beneath it vibrates with the quiet certainty of an ancient bell struck in a forgotten temple. It hints that you are not merely reading words. You are returning to a crossroads that your deeper self has visited before. To speak of a soul contract is to step beyond the edges of ordinary language and into a realm where metaphor and memory intertwine. It suggests that life is not just a sequence of accidents, not just a string of choices made blindly in the dark, but a choreography guided by a deeper intelligence that has been whispering to you since the moment you first drew breath. It implies that beneath your everyday identity, beneath the roles you play, the fears you carry, the ambitions you chase, there exists a quieter, older version of you, the one who remembers why you came here, who you came to meet, and what you came to transform. For many, this idea surfaces only during moments of crisis or awakening. The sudden collapse of a relationship, the unexpected opportunity that seems too perfectly timed, the feeling that a certain person or experience is tugging at you with an intensity that reason cannot explain. But sometimes the trigger is far smaller and far stranger, a phrase glimpsed late at night, a sense of pause that arrives without warning, a sudden wave of clarity or déjà vu that washes through you like a returning tide. When a soul contract activates, it's rarely dramatic in the way movies depict destiny. It unfolds with a quiet inevitability, like the moment dawn begins to dilute the edges of the night sky long before the sun itself is visible. You may not even recognize the activation at first. You may only sense that the air around you feels different, as though something once static has begun to move. There can be a subtle pressure, not painful but insistent, like the feeling of being gently nudged into a conversation you've been avoiding with yourself. There can be coincidences that arrive too quickly to dismiss, synchronicities that cluster in your path like breadcrumbs left by a wiser version of you. Even your emotional landscape may shift without explanation. What once enraged you now feels irrelevant. What once frightened you suddenly feels like an invitation. And what once seemed impossible begins to glow faintly with the outline of a new potential. The concept of a soul contract suggests that you and life are not adversaries but co-authors. Somewhere before this incarnation, whether you imagine it as a literal realm, a symbolic archive of consciousness, or a field of intention, you agreed to certain themes, lessons, relationships, and turning points, not as punishments or rewards, but as experiences that would sculpt you into your fullest, most awakened expression. When you see a message like this one and feel something stir inside you, it often means you're standing at one of those pre-chosen thresholds. A chapter is closing, another is beginning, and your deeper self is signaling that the time has come to remember what you promised yourself long before you ever learned your own name. Yet the activation of a soul contract is not a command. It is an invitation. It does not demand obedience, nor does it insist that you conform to some predetermined fate. Instead, it asks whether you are willing to listen more closely to the quiet places within you where intuition speaks before logic can interfere. It asks whether you are ready to step into a version of yourself that may feel unfamiliar at first, but profoundly correct. Many people interpret this activation as a divine message, a cosmic nudge, or a spiritual awakening, but it can also be seen through a more grounded lens. The moment when your unconscious life story becomes conscious, when your inner narrative shifts from confusion to coherence, when you begin to understand why certain patterns have repeated and what they're trying to teach you. Even if you don't fully believe in the literal existence of soul contracts, the metaphor still holds extraordinary power. Think of it as a poetic way of recognizing that life has been preparing you for something. Your struggles were not random, they were training. Your heartbreaks were not failures, they were openings. Your questions were not signs of weakness, they were invitations to see beyond the surface of things. When this phrase appears before you, it can function like a mirror. You're not being shown something external, but something internal that is finally ready to surface. It is the moment when the inner architecture of your life subtly reveals itself, when the invisible design begins to make itself visible. And so, as you read these words, notice the sensations that arise, whether curiosity, resistance, warmth, or an unexplainable familiarity. Your reaction itself may be part of the activation. Perhaps this message finds you at a juncture where your old ways of thinking no longer fit, or where the life you've been living feels too small for the person you are becoming. Perhaps it arrives just when you are beginning to sense that you are meant for something larger than your current circumstances, something that requires courage, trust, and a willingness to step into a story you once agreed to but have only now begun to remember. If so, consider this moment not as an accident, but as the opening note of a symphony already written into your being. To explore the core themes behind the idea that your soul contract is activating in this very moment, you must first imagine that your life is layered like a series of shifting veils, each one revealing a different dimension of meaning depending on how deeply you're willing to look. If the introduction opens a doorway, then this section guides you through the threshold, helping you understand the architecture of the forces at play. At its essence, a soul contract represents a convergence between choice and destiny, a meeting point where your free will intertwines with deeper, pre-existing intention. It is not an instruction manual dictating each step of your life. Rather, it is an energetic blueprint, a set of themes and experiences you agreed to explore so that your consciousness could evolve in ways impossible to achieve otherwise. One of the primary themes of soul contract is the tension between forgetting and remembering. When you incarnate, you enter a kind of spiritual amnesia, a fog that obscures every soul-level decision you made before arriving in this lifetime. You forget the agreements you formed, the relationships you intended to nurture or repair, the lessons you vowed to face with courage. This forgetting is not a flaw but a feature, for the real power of a soul contract emerges through rediscovery. Without the veil, there would be no growth, no transformation, no free will, only rigid adherence to a script. By allowing yourself to forget, you give yourself the chance to choose again from a place of genuine experience, and each moment of inner recognition becomes a milestone in the reawakening of your deeper identity. Another central concept is the idea that your soul contract acts as a compass in moments of uncertainty. Even when you feel lost or misaligned, there's often a subtle pull towards certain people, places, or experiences, an inexplicable gravitational force that seems to guide your decisions more than logic ever could. You may meet someone and feel as though you've known them for lifetimes, or find yourself drawn to a path you never expected but somehow always sensed. These are the fingerprints of your soul contract, gentle reminders that your life is not random, that something within you is always steering you back toward the trajectory your deeper self intended. When activated, this compass becomes stronger, more insistent, as if the universe itself begins rearranging circumstances to support your next chapter. Closely tied to this is the recognition that soul contracts are not solitary. They are deeply relational, weaving you into a network of connections that cross lifetimes. Some people enter your life with the force of a catalyst, shifting your direction in ways you could never foresee. Others arrive softly, teaching you through comfort rather than disruption. In either case, the bond is not incidental. When your soul contract activates, it often signals that a particular person or relationship is resurfacing, someone whose presence is integral to your unfolding growth. You may not understand why they matter yet, but something in you recognizes the significance. Their arrival is part of the activation, prompting you to step into a version of yourself shaped by the dynamics you share. Yet, a soul contract is not solely about relationships. It also encompasses challenges, those recurring patterns that shadow your life until you face them with full awareness. Fear, abandonment, betrayal, shame, unworthiness. Each can be part of the curriculum you once agreed to explore. When you find yourself confronting the same emotional landscape again and again, not because you're failing, but because the lesson is deep, layered, and essential, you're experiencing the thematic structure of your contract. Activation often occurs when you're finally ready to break a generational cycle, rewrite an inner narrative, or reclaim a fragmented piece of yourself that has stayed buried for too long. Another profound theme is initiation. Activation is not passive. It marks a shift in your identity. You begin to feel life differently, as though something inside you has awakened from a long sleep. Old habits fall away not through force, but through irrelevance. Your intuition sharpens, whispers becoming clearer, impulses becoming purposeful. You may experience synchronicities that cluster around you like constellations pointing the way forward. These are not random events. They are the signals of initiation, indicators that you are moving from one state of being into another. You begin to perceive meaning woven into moments you once dismissed, and in this heightened awareness, the world becomes a teacher, a mirror, and a guide. Perhaps the most essential theme of all is alignment. A soul contract activation is fundamentally about remembering who you are beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and expectation that once obscured your inner truth. It is the moment when the external noise of life quiets just enough for you to hear the authentic rhythm of your being. Alignment does not mean perfection. It means resonance. It occurs when your actions begin to harmonize with your deeper values, when your decisions reflect your inner clarity rather than external pressure. In alignment, you become capable of recognizing opportunities disguised as challenges, endings that are secretly beginnings, and relationships that serve a purpose far greater than comfort. All these core themes, forgetting and remembering, the inner compass, relational contracts, karmic lessons, initiation, alignment, come together to form the invisible framework of your unfolding reality. When the message, your soul contract is activating right now, appears before you, it often signals that these themes are no longer theoretical concepts hovering in the background of your life. They are crystallizing into lived experience. You are stepping into the chapter where your unconscious agreements begin to surface, where the architecture of your destiny comes into focus, and where your life begins to feel strangely coherent in ways you cannot fully explain. Whether you interpret this through a spiritual lens, a psychological metaphor, or a cosmic narrative, the meaning remains the same. Something within you is awakening. A threshold has opened. You are being invited to remember what you once promised yourself. And if you feel even the slightest resonance reading these words, then perhaps the activation has already begun. To understand a soul contract through mere explanation is to grasp only its shadow. To feel it, to sense its movement beneath your experiences, requires stepping into the world of symbolism, where reality and imagination merge to reveal truths too expansive for literal language. Symbolic narratives act as mirrors for the inner world, reflecting the subtle architecture of your evolution through metaphors that carry emotional and spiritual weight. When your soul contract activates, it does not announce itself with plain facts. It speaks in symbols, coincidences, archetypes, and the strange poetry of your own unfolding life. One of the most common symbolic narratives is that of the forgotten traveler. Imagine a wanderer who begins a journey with perfect clarity. They know where they're going, why they must go, and what they hope to transform along the way. But part of the journey requires them to pass through a fog that erases the memory of their destination, leaving only a faint, nameless longing. This traveler moves through life propelled by a yearning they cannot explain, sometimes feeling lost, sometimes guided, but always sensing that something waits just ahead. In many ways, that traveler is you. Your soul contract is a destination you once knew but briefly forgot, and its activation is the moment the fog begins to thin. You don't remember every detail, but you recognize the path when you step onto it, as though your feet recall what your mind does not. Another symbolic narrative is the return of the messenger. In ancient stories, a messenger arrives at pivotal moments, when a hero is drifting off course, when a crucial decision must be made, or when an old promise is ready to be fulfilled. The messenger is rarely obvious. They may appear as a stranger delivering a seemingly irrelevant comment, a recurring dream, a sudden insight, or even a simple phrase that echoes in your mind long after you've read it. When you see the words, "Your soul contract is activating right now," you are encountering a modern form of the messenger, not because the phrase itself holds magical power, but because your recognition of it signals readiness. The message activates nothing by force. It activates what was already stirring within you. The messenger simply confirms what your deeper self has been whispering all along. The time has come. Then there is a symbolic narrative of the firekeeper, a figure found in countless mythologies. The firekeeper is entrusted with maintaining the flame that represents wisdom, clarity, and purpose. They must protect it from winds of distraction, from storms of doubt, from the darkness that tries to consume it. In your life, this flame is your intuition, and its fire grows brighter when your soul contract activates. You begin to feel drawn toward choices that feed your inner flame rather than extinguish it. You notice when your energy rises or falls around certain people, places, or decisions. You become the firekeeper of your own evolution, sensing that your task is not to avoid challenges, but to ensure that each challenge fuels your growth rather than dims your spark. The symbolic fire reflects your awakening capacity to navigate your path with awareness rather than fear. A deeper narrative emerges in the archetype of the bridge between worlds. This figure stands between the seen and unseen, translating spiritual truth into human experience. When your soul contract activates, you step into this archetypal role in subtle but profound ways. You begin noticing synchronicities that feel like threads connecting the physical world to an invisible pattern. A song plays at the exact moment you think of someone. A memory surfaces precisely when you need its lesson. A door closes, and another opens before you even knock. These events are not supernatural tricks. They're symbolic indicators that your inner and outer worlds are aligning, that your life is synchronizing with the deeper rhythm of your contract. You become a bridge between your higher knowing and your everyday choices, guided by a sense of coherence that feels both mysterious and familiar. One of the most powerful symbolic narratives is the cycle of death and rebirth. Not literal death, but the shedding of old identities, beliefs, and emotional patterns. When a soul contract activates, it often begins with an ending. Something you thought was permanent dissolves, or something you thought you needed becomes too heavy to carry. You may resist this at first, interpreting the ending as a failure or a loss. But symbolically, it is the cracking of the seed shell. A seed cannot sprout while encased in the form it once needed. It must break apart to reveal the new life inside. You are that seed, and the breaking is not a destruction but an emergence. The symbolic rebirth marks the point where your old story loses its authority, making space for your true trajectory to take shape. The pain you feel is not punishment but transformation, the pressure of new life pushing to the soil of your old identity. Another narrative that often surfaces is the meeting of the mirror. In mythology, mirrors are not mere reflections. They reveal what is hidden, amplify what is true, and expose what must be acknowledged. When your soul contract activates, you meet a mirror in the form of a person, event, or realization that forces you to see yourself with unprecedented clarity. This mirror may show you your strengths, your wounds, your potential, or your shadows. It may bring discomfort or liberation, but its purpose is the same: to awaken you to your own inner landscape. The mirror does not judge, it reflects. And through this reflection, you are invited to step into a more authentic version of yourself, one that aligns with the agreements your soul made long before this life began. Perhaps the most profound symbolic narrative is the calling of the threshold guardian. In stories, the guardian stands at the boundary between the familiar and the unknown, testing whether the traveler is ready to step into the next stage of their journey. In your life, this guardian often takes the form of fear, not the kind that protects you from harm, but the kind that arises when you begin moving toward the life you truly want. Fear appears not as a warning, but as confirmation. You are approaching the edge of your old self. Its presence signifies proximity to growth. When your soul contract activates, threshold guardians appear as doubts, hesitations, or challenges that ask only one question: are you willing to become who you truly intended to be? These guardians do not block your path. They ensure you step forward intentionally, with awareness rather than inertia. All these symbolic narratives, traveler, messenger, firekeeper, bridge, rebirth, mirror, threshold, guardian, interweave into the tapestry of your activation. They are not separate stories but facets of a single unfolding truth. You are awakening to your deeper purpose. When seen collectively, they reveal that your life is not random, your challenges are not meaningless, and your intuition is not imaginary. Everything serves the contract you once made with your own becoming. And now, with these truths illuminated through story rather than explanation, the next step is to understand how they translate into your everyday life, how these symbols become choices, actions, and transformations in the world you navigate each day. When spiritual or symbolic ideas remain floating in abstraction, they may inspire you briefly, but they do not reshape your life. A soul contract, however, is never meant to stay theoretical. Its activation reaches into the living details of your relationships, choices, habits, and inner landscape. It is not an event that happens somewhere up there. It is a shift that roots itself in the right here, threading its way through your ordinary moments with quiet insistence. Understanding the real-world implications of this activation allows you to form a bridge between the mystical and the practical, between higher meaning and daily lived experience. A soul contract often begins to integrate into your life through a change in perception. You start seeing patterns where previously you only saw problems. A disagreement that once felt like an attack now reveals itself as an invitation to heal a deeper wound. A loss that once felt like the universe taking something away now feels like the clearing of space for something more aligned. A repeated difficulty that once drained you now appears as a lesson that has been circling back to you because you are finally strong enough to face it. This shift in perception is not forced. It arises naturally when your inner compass begins aligning with your deeper purpose. You start to interpret your life not as a sequence of random events, but as a dialogue between your conscious self and your soul. Relationships often shift dramatically during this stage. Some people begin to fade from your life, not out of conflict, but because your energy no longer resonates with theirs. Others reappear unexpectedly, as if drawn back into your orbit by a magnetic pull that neither of you fully understands. New people arrive with uncanny timing, offering precisely the support, challenge, or reflection you need at this exact phase of your growth. These shifts are not coincidences. They are the movements of your relational soul contracts rearranging themselves to support your activation. It may feel disorienting at first, like furniture being moved in a dark room, but once the lights come on, the new configuration reveals itself to be exactly what your becoming requires. Another practical implication of activation is the transformation of your emotional landscape. Old emotions that have lingered for years may begin surfacing with unexpected intensity, not to overwhelm you, but to be released. You might find yourself crying without knowing why, experiencing bursts of anger or grief that seem disproportionate to the moment, or feeling a sudden sense of clarity that sweeps through you like a cleansing wind. These emotional events are not regressions. They are integrations. They represent the body finally processing what the soul has been preparing for. When your contract activates, suppressed emotions become unstuck because they are no longer aligned with the self you are stepping into. They move through you so that your inner space can clear. Your intuition also sharpens in ways that feel both empowering and unsettling. You may start sensing the truth beneath people's words, feeling the direction of decision before you have evidence, or knowing when something is right or wrong, without being able to explain it logically. This intuitive surge is not random. It is your internal guidance system accelerating because the path ahead requires navigation beyond the limits of logic alone. Intuition becomes a language through which your soul contract communicates, subtly steering you toward experiences that fulfill the deeper agreements you made long before this life began. Trusting this intuition becomes a central part of your integration, even when it contradicts your expectations. Practical life decisions also begin to shift. You may feel compelled to change your environment, leave a stagnant job, pursue a long-ignored passion, or restructure your daily habits. These impulses are not mere whims. They are movements toward alignment. When a soul contract activates, the life that once fit you begins to feel too tight, like clothing you have outgrown. The decisions you make during this stage are rarely impulsive. They may feel bold, but they also feel strangely inevitable, as though you are finally taking steps you were always meant to take. Resistance may appear, especially from the parts of you that fear change, but something deeper within you pushes forward, insisting that evolution is no longer optional. Another significant real-world implication is the emergence of synchronicity. Patterns begin to cluster around you with uncanny precision. You think of someone, and they message you minutes later. You consider a new path and suddenly encounter multiple signs pointing in that direction. Doors open with little effort or close abruptly to redirect you. Synchronicities become a form of cosmic feedback, indicating that you are moving in alignment with your contract. They are not signs to obsess over, but gentle confirmations that the unseen architecture of your life is actively participating in your transformation. This interplay between your choices and the universe's responses becomes one of the most tangible aspects of soul-level activation. Challenges, too, gain new meaning. Instead of appearing as obstacles designed to punish or discourage you, they become catalysts. A difficult conversation becomes a doorway to authenticity. A setback reveals the exact place where your old beliefs no longer serve you. A moment of crisis becomes the point at which your strength crystallizes into wisdom. The more you integrate the activation of your soul contract, the more you realize that the universe is not testing you. It is sculpting you. Each difficulty shapes you into the person who can fulfill the agreements written into your deeper being. Practical integration also touches your sense of identity. You may feel a growing dissonance between who you were and who you are becoming. Old labels, roles, and narratives lose their grip. You begin shedding expectations, your own and those imposed by others. You start honoring your inner truth, even when it disrupts the comfort of the familiar. This shift in identity can feel destabilizing, like standing on ground that is gently but steadily moving beneath your feet. Yet this movement signals that you are evolving into a more expansive version of yourself, one capable of embodying the wisdom and purpose encoded in your soul contract. Perhaps the most profound real-world implication is the deepening of self-responsibility. Activation does not mean that life suddenly becomes easy or that challenges disappear. Instead, it means you begin approaching your life consciously, recognizing your agency in shaping your reality. You stop outsourcing your power to circumstance, expectation, or fear. You start responding to life with intention rather than reaction. This newfound self-responsibility is not heavy. It is liberating. It allows you to participate actively in your evolution instead of drifting passively through the motions of your old patterns. When these shifts, perception, relationships, emotion, intuition, decisions, synchronicities, identity, and responsibility, begin to weave together, your life transforms not in a single moment, but in a sustained unfolding. You recognize that your soul contract is not a metaphysical curiosity, but a living dynamic that shapes your everyday reality in subtle and profound ways. It becomes clear that you are not simply experiencing life. You are co-creating it with an intelligence that transcends the boundaries of your personality. And now, as these practical implications begin to take root in your awareness, what remains is to weave all these threads into a final message, one that not only concludes a narrative, but calls you into the transformation already unfolding within you. There comes a point in every journey where the separate threads, memories, challenges, symbols, relationships, awakenings begin to converge into a coherent pattern, as though an invisible hand has been patiently weaving them behind the scenes. When you reach the stage of the activation of your soul contract, it becomes clear that nothing in your life has been random. Every detour, every heartbreak, every moment of clarity or collapse has been guiding you toward an understanding you were always meant to reclaim. This final section serves not as a conclusion in the ordinary sense, but as an emergence, a stepping forward into the life your deeper self has been preparing you to inhabit. If you reflect upon your path with honesty, you may notice how the moments that once felt unbearable now resemble key turning points. The relationship that shattered you was also the relationship that awakened you. The disappointment that hollowed out your ambition became the doorway to a more authentic purpose. The confusion that once clouded your mind eventually softened into humility, making space for new insights to take root. These experiences were not punishments. They were initiations, the very catalyst that illuminated the architecture of your soul contract. Each event carved out space within you for a greater wisdom to reside, and each time you rose from the ashes of a previous version of yourself, you stepped closer to the person you intended to become before you ever arrived in this life. This realization that you are not a victim of life, but a participant in a sacred unfolding, marks the true activation of your contract. It is here that you begin to sense the presence of an inner knowing, a quiet certainty that your life has direction even when you cannot see the full map. You start to trust the timing of your experiences, recognizing that the universe rarely reveals an answer before you are ready to receive it. You stop demanding clarity from the future and instead begin listening to the present, where guidance arrives in whispers, in instincts, in unexpected synchronicities that feel like the universe aligning itself with your next breath. The activation of your soul contract is ultimately an activation of awareness. You begin to see through the illusions that once dictated your decisions, illusions of inadequacy, separation, lack, and helplessness. They fall away not because you force them out, but because they can no longer anchor themselves in a consciousness that has outgrown them. In their place emerges a grounded confidence, Not the loud kind that shouts its existence, but the quiet kind that simply knows. This confidence is the voice of your deeper self, the one who remembers your original intentions, your inner truths, and your capacity to navigate the complexity of your human experience with grace. As this awareness deepens, you become more aligned with the highest expression of your soul contract, the embodiment of your purpose. Purpose here does not refer only to career or achievement. It refers to becoming the fullest expression of your essence. It is the courage to live in integrity with your truth, the willingness to honor your emotional landscape without shame, the strength to choose growth over comfort, connection over isolation, presence over distraction. Your purpose emerges not through striving, but through being, through allowing your life to unfold in resonance with the wisdom you've been cultivating across lifetimes. This is a transformation that lies at the heart of your soul contract, a return to yourself, not the self shaped by expectations and fears, but the self that has always existed beneath the noise of the world, the self that recognizes its own resilience, its inherent worth, its deep calling to contribute to the lives it touches, the self that understands that healing is not merely personal. It is generational, relational, and cosmic in scope. When you honor your contract, you become a vessel through which healing ripples outward, touching every soul whose path intersects with yours. But a soul contract is not fulfilled in isolation. It is fulfilled through participation in the world, through relationships, creativity, service, courage, and authenticity. Your activation calls you to step out of hiding, to stop shrinking yourself to fit the expectations of others, to stop waiting for the right time to become who you intended to be. The right time is always the moment you choose to step forward. Activation is not a switch that flips without your consent. It is a door that opens, but only you can walk through it. And so the transformational call that accompanies this activation is not a command, but an invitation. You are being invited to trust your intuition more deeply, to release the versions of yourself that no longer serve your evolution, to follow the threads of synchronicity that the universe places in your path. You are being invited to step into alignment, even when it challenges your comfort, to honor your emotional truths even when they disrupt old patterns, to choose growth even when fear whispers its familiar warnings. Your soul contract asks you to participate in your becoming with courage, tenderness, and presence. If you've read these words and felt something stir, an echo, a recognition, a soft pressure in your chest, then the activation is already in motion. You may not yet see where this path leads, but you are already walking it. The universe unfolds one step at a time, revealing only what is necessary for the moment at hand. Trust that this is enough. Trust that you are enough. Trust that you are already in conversation with the deeper intelligence that shaped your life long before you arrived here. You are not at the end of the story. You are at the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter written not by fear, but by awareness, not by repetition, but by remembrance, not by diminished expectations, but by the quiet, steady reclaiming of who you have always been beneath the noise of the world. If you're seeing this, your soul contract is not simply activating. It is calling you home, and you are ready.